Today we will be talking about something that makes the world of Dragonbane very special. Magic. And I'm not talking about the magic of love or some hippie bullshit like that. I'm talking about this very real force that can be wielded by powerful beings, both for good and for bad. So stay tuned because we're about to enter another level of nerd. Some call magic a gift from the dragons, others a curse from the demons. Perhaps it is a blessing from the gods. The reality is that magic is a basic force of nature that exists throughout the physical world as well as beyond it. Gods and demons, dragons and spirits, they are all equally dependent on magic. As you can tell, magic is a huge part of Dragonbane. You will run into many monsters and creatures who are using magic in one way or the other. But players can also create characters that wield magic. These are the mages. Mage is just the name of the spellcasters in the game, but the profession is very broad, meaning one mage is usually very unlike the other. Also in Dragonbane there are several schools of magic with different views of what it is and how it works. In the core game you can choose between these schools of magic: animism, elementalism, and mentalism. A lot of isms. Animists believe that everything in the world has a spiritual presence and see magic as a power lent by nature's spirits. Elementalists, they describe magic in terms of the four elements: wind, water, fire, and earth. And then mentalists, they say that magic comes from within and that it can be manifested through self-control and discipline. So that's where we'll start when creating a mage. First, we'll pick the school of magic. It can be tied to your character's backstory, or it can be something that you just think sounds cool and fun. The school of magic is considered a trained secondary skill, meaning you'll have a skill level in it and it will be based on your intelligence score. Now I want you to go to the magic chapter of the rulebook and find the list that has all the available spells. But before you start reading that list thinking that you know every single one of them like some crazy, powerful, evil overlord, there are of course limitations. Yay! First of all, you can only choose general spells or the spells listed under your school of magic. Also, when starting out, you may only know 3 spells and 3 magic tricks. And there's also a limit to how many spells that can be prepared at the same time in your memory. And then there are ranks. You may only know rank 1 spells in the beginning. Jeez, let's take it back before we lose our damn mind because I'm already confused. So let's take our mentalist here. She's allowed 3 rank 1 spells to begin with, and I've picked Farsight, Protector, and Power Fist. It's a mix of defensive and offensive and strategic spells in my opinion. Also, we're obviously gonna choose a spell that's named Power Fist. I can also choose 3 magic tricks, which are simple, relatively harmless spells, and I choose Sense Magic, Slow Fall, and Lock/Unlock. The amount of spells a mage can have prepared in her memory is the same as the base chance of her intelligence score, which is in our case 6. Since she so far only knows 3 spells, she can have them all in her memory at this point. Magic tricks, they are exempt from the prepared count, meaning they are always prepared. Make sense? Maybe. But say that my mage starts learning new spells and all of a sudden we know a lot more than 6 spells. Her memory is now overcrowded, which happens, all of us. And that's when the grimoire comes in, or spellbook if you're like me and have a hard time pronouncing grimoire. Grimoire. Every mage starts out with a spellbook where they can record their spells, and if they want to change their prepared spells, the ones we store in our memory, aka our brain, it takes 1 shift. Do not lose your spellbook. If you do, you lose all of your recorded spells and have to get a new book to re-record them. And at the same time, if you happen to find someone else's spellbook, you can learn new spells from that one. Alright, now for the fun part. How do we use magic? To cast a spell and use magic, you need to spend willpower points. The amount of points your mage has is the same as your willpower, so in our case it's 18. The cost of a spell depends on how much you would like to charge it with, which is called power level. Every spell has a power level between 1 and 3, and one level costs 2 willpower points, meaning if you'd like to cast a spell with power level 3, it will cost you 6 willpower points. In order to cast your spell, you roll against your skill level in the relevant school of magic, and if you succeed, the spell has the intended effect. Otherwise, nothing happens, unless you roll a demon and a magical mishap will happen. Okay, that was a lot of words and math, so let's try an example. I want to use my newly learned spell Power Fist because of course I do. In the spell description, it says the damage of your unarmed attacks increases by d6 per power level. Alright, suppose I want to max out my damage with my Power Fists. So on my turn in a fight, I charge my spell with 3 power levels, which will cost me 6 willpower points. In the spell description, it also says requirement, word, and gesture. That means that the spell is activated by a word and a gesture. Power Fist! And let's say it was a success, so Power Fist strikes again. Now I get to add 3 d6s to my unarmed attack, and it lasts for an entire stretch, which is 15 minutes, and that's huge. And it only cost me a lot of willpower. What happens if you run out of willpower? Well, then you can't cast any more spells unless you start drawing willpower from your body. You pick a die, and then the number on that die is the amount of willpower that you gain, but you also lose in HP. It's lethal, and I love it. And that's the basics of magic in Dragonbane. But of course, there's a lot more to it. Every spell has a unique property, such as range, duration, requirements, casting time, so make sure you read up on it in the rulebook. Now, I want you to power them fists and start fighting. Bye!